Hey girls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be another weekly reading vlog, a weekly reading vlog that's actually starting on a Tuesday. I normally try and start these videos either Sunday or Monday. However, this weekend my little sister got married, so me and my partner were back kind of in our hometown area. My sister lives about an hour away from my parents and my childhood home, pretty much where they still live. So we traveled on Thursday to my parents' house, and that was a 10-hour drive. My parents live 10 hours away from me. Do not recommend, but it is what it is at the moment in our lives. But we traveled 10 hours. We made it to my parents' home. My partner's mom was so gracious and watched our dogs, which is absolutely preferable to kenneling them, just because, you know, there's not like a risk of disease spread like kennel cough or something like that. And one of my dogs is very anxious, and he definitely prefers being left with, if not us, then someone that he loves and trusts. And my partner's mom is absolutely awesome. So we were having the dogs stay with her, and then on Friday we traveled up to the town that my sister got married in, and we had the rehearsal and the rehearsal dinner. I was in the bridal party. It was my sister and her husband. Their bridal party was just their siblings. So I was the maid of honor, and that was such an honor. So Friday, of course, you know, we had all the rehearsals. Saturday was wedding day. So pretty much from about, I want to say like 6:30, 7 in the morning, which was when I got up, to, you know, I think 3 a.m. is when I went to bed. It was just go all day. It was absolutely wonderful, gorgeous ceremony. I loved seeing not only my siblings, because we're spreading out. There are 5 of us, and the first 3 of us that don't live at home. The youngest 2 still live at home, but the oldest 3, we're all very spread out across the US. So it's just, it's so lovely to get to see them again, get to see extended family again. So that was a lot of fun. Sunday, we traveled back home to my parents' hometown, hung out with my partner's family, hung out with my family, kind of gave us a day to recuperate, because I don't think we could have woken up on Sunday and been able to drive 10 hours. But Monday was travel day. We traveled back home, and now Tuesday, we're doing the thing. My partner's back at work. I'm back at work. Oh yeah, I also have new hair. I don't think I had this hair. Actually, I actually did. I think you should have already seen my March releases, and I did have red hair. I had red hair and red hands and a scalp as well, because I had just done it. So I have red hair now, but that's new to the vlog. So it was a really awesome weekend, and unfortunately we are back into the daily routine now. So I kind of know that like this week I really want to stay busy and really immerse myself in. I want to read a lot of good books. I want to stay busy with work and working out and cooking, like just really focusing on keeping really busy this week, because I just know every single time that I spend time with my family and then we have to travel back home, it is so hard, because we do live far away from our families. So one day that will not be the case, but at this point in time it is. So I am trying to not be sad. I had so much fun. I had so much fun, and just seeing family members that I hadn't seen in years and years, and just I had a lot of fun. Not only just I'm so happy for my sister, and I'm also I got to see some family members that I hadn't seen in such a long time, and we're already making plans to meet up again in the summer, which is just so awesome. So on one hand, I'm so happy and just grateful and just filled with, gosh, my family is so cool. And then on the other hand, I'm sad. It's hard just getting back into work after just celebrating all weekend. So this vlog, we are going to keep busy, and what I'm going to keep busy doing is by reading, because that's fun. The first book that I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a holdover from last week's vlog. That is the short story collection, Stephen King's 4 Past Midnight. I finished the first 3 books in this story collection. There are 4 stories in this collection. I finished the first 3 in February. Oh, also happy March. This is my first vlog of March, so happy March. But I finished the first 3 stories in February, and I just have, I think, I want to say like 20 to 30 pages of The Sundog, which is the final story in here left. So looking forward to that. So that is my Tuesday reading plan, is to finish this, and once I finish off this short story collection, and I'm gonna be quite honest, I'm really having a really good time with this one. I think it's one of, if not my favorite, Stephen King short story collection I've read so far, based largely in part because of Willem Dafoe's audiobook narration of The Langoliers, which was the first story in this short story collection. So I'm enjoying this. Once I finish this, we are going to pick up A Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. This is a newer release. I believe it came out in January. And this says 10 years ago, Theodora, or Teddy Engstrom's older sister Angie, went missing. Her case remains unsolved. Now Teddy's father, Mark, has killed himself. Unbeknownst to Mark's family, he had been active in a Reddit community fixated on Angie, and Teddy can't help but fall down the same rabbit hole, a biting critique of the internet's voyeurism. Rabbit Hole is an outrageous and heart-wrenching character study of a mind twisted by grief and a page-turning mystery that's addictive as a late-night Reddit binge. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. Actually, this is going to be my next read primarily because I have a copy checked out from the library that I do eventually need to return, and I also have an audiobook copy checked out from my library's Libby account as well. So I'm gonna kind of do a tandem read. I've been really enjoying that lately, where I'm reading it physically but also audio, and just kind of switching back and forth between the two depending on how much I like the audiobook. So of course, you know the drill. I'm a mood reader. I'm probably going to pick up some more books in between, but these are the two books that I plan on starting this vlog out with. But my camera battery is just starting to flash that it is dead, which is frustrating, but I think this has been a pretty long introductory clip of a vlog anyway. So I am going to get back to work and get back to reading, and I will talk to you all tomorrow with another reading update. Hey friends, happy Friday. I know it has been a little bit of time. I think I started this vlog on Tuesday, I want to say, but I was totally right when I mentioned in the introductory clip to this vlog that I was gonna have a hard time, you know, getting back into the normal routine, getting back into not being able to see my family, and just emotionally just having a little bit of a hard time knowing that, like, this time last week I was with my family, and then, you know, this weekend we won't see them, and I don't know, you know, it's hard growing up. It's hard growing up and living away from your family. So yeah, this week has been a little bit of a bummer in terms of that. So, you know, we're working through that. Definitely. I know I talked about this in the last clip, but the goal is for me and my partner to not live 10 hours away from our parents and our siblings and everyone pretty much. So that's kind of the baseline update. I didn't really do much this week other than work and, you know, kind of catch up and do things that maybe you were procrastinating, you know, right before you go on a trip. So just, you know, some boring stuff like laundry, grocery shopping, working. It's not been very riveting stuff, not even for B-roll content. So this week's vlog, you know, will be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. So this week definitely has not been like that exciting, but I did finish a book. I did finish 4 Past Midnight, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Sundog, and I know that there are only 4 stories in this collection. Usually short story collections have a little bit more than that. This one, however, I almost want to say that my enjoyment, like the first story was the best, and then it went, I don't want to say downhill because I did enjoy all of them, but I think if I'm just thinking solely on enjoyment, The Langoliers absolutely was the best one in here. The other ones were honestly all like close contenders for second place, but I enjoyed this collection overall. Thankfully, I enjoyed them all because, you know, there are only 4 stories in here. Usually if a collection has, like, I think one of his has like 20 stories or something, Everything's Eventual, I think that's the one I'm thinking about. But in short story collections that have so many more short stories, there's more likely to be hits or misses. So I'm glad there weren't any in here that like I was struggling to get through. I think my least favorite might be The Library Policeman. That one though, I enjoyed the concept a lot more than the execution. That one I felt like had like a traditional Stephen King ending because, you know, he is very popular for maybe not sticking the landings all the way. I don't think link by any means for all of his books, but I think The Library Policeman was the perhaps weakest story in here. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Stephen King, I really have been enjoying his shorter stories, which is so funny. I guess maybe I shouldn't say I've been enjoying his shorter stories. I tend to enjoy all of his work. How about that? Because some of my favorite stories of his are the ones that are 1,000+ pages. It is one of my top 5 favorite books of all time. But as someone who's trying to get into shorter form stories, especially, I think he does a really good job at that as well. It was also fun to read a short story collection that takes place in like the 90s, and then I think his new short story collection comes out next month. I think it comes out in April. So that's something to look forward to for April. But yeah, this very chunky, very chunky. I wanted to finish it in February. I just didn't get a chance to, and I really enjoyed this one overall. This week, I also started Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody, and I'm really enjoying this one. I'm on page 108. This one is fun. I say fun with a little bit of a raised eyebrow there because I do enjoy the audiobook. I've been enjoying reading the audiobook when I'm doing other things and then sitting down at the end of the night and reading physically. However, this audiobook is a little bit of a challenge because this does not have any chapters. And when I say it doesn't have any chapters, it is broken up. So you can see like where one chapter ends and another one begins. However, these like little chapters are not labeled. So it has been a little hard to sync myself up with the audiobook because the audiobook on Libby, I think it's divided only into about 5 sections, and the sections are like, you know, maybe an hour or so a piece. So it's definitely kind of hard finding my place if you're moving back and forth between these. So if you like doing that, keep that in mind if you're interested in checking out both of them. I think the audiobook narrator is doing a really good job. I think with the way this is narrated, I think listening to it on audio is a really good way to go because you're very much inside the mind and the thought processes of our main character, Teddy. However, this does have to deal with our main character and other main characters. They're trying to kind of amateur sleuth, trying to figure out what happened to our main character's sister. So there's a lot of Reddit in here. There's a lot of Reddit conversations. Our main character, she is deep diving into all of these Reddit pages and communities and different threads and trying to figure out maybe what happened to her sister. Does anyone actually know? Because it's coming up on the 10th anniversary of our main character's sister disappearing. No one knows if she's dead or alive, what happened to her. So Teddy is going down these various rabbit holes, like the cover suggests, maybe trying to figure out what happened to her sister. All that being said, if you want to listen to it in audiobook format, there are a lot of sections where you read through like a Reddit page and read like username, what they said, username, what they said. So if that can get annoying to you to listen to because it's definitely not as free flowing, obviously, like something like that I think is supposed to be read a little bit just so you can see the format and see how it's in Reddit post format as opposed to like a normal prose. So if you want to listen to the audiobook, just know that that happens a lot in there, and it can be a little jarring to go directly from just a normal prose format to just listening to a bunch of comments on these Reddit pages. But I'm invested. I'm really intrigued to see. Obviously, this is going to be a commentary on how true crime and amateur sleuthing and places like Reddit and true crime podcasts kind of, there's like a thin line between wanting to spread information to genuinely help missing persons cases and then just enjoying listening to tales of people's like worst days of their lives, and how like this almost romanticization of true crime and true crime narratives and even just true crime as a genre of entertainment, how problematic that can be and how that can really impact the people who are closest to the actual stories themselves. So again, I want to say I'm like 25 to 30% of the way through this one. It's definitely a fast-paced, I would say very engaging read. I'm so curious to see what's going to happen next. Teddy is a very self-sabotaging main character, so I think as she dives deeper into these different rabbit holes on the internet and she's making friends with people who she thinks may connect her to her sister's disappearance, help her figure out what happened to her sister, she's very self-sabotaging, and she's a character just so consumed by grief, and you can tell how that grief has shaped her whole entire life. So Teddy's very interesting as a main character. I'm very intrigued to to see what happens next in this book. But those are my biggest two updates. It's definitely going to be a laid back weekend. Quite honestly, when is it ever not a laid back weekend? Me and my partner are just very much homebody people, and we like being that way. So there's really not too much going on this weekend. We both have to work a little bit. We usually try and make like a recipe, like a very time intensive recipe for dinner every Saturday night, because we both really enjoy cooking, and just, you know, during the week you don't often get time to do those more labor intensive, time intensive dishes. So usually Saturday we make something fun. We're also trying out, we're setting up a new tradition based partly on a tradition that me and my family had when I was growing up. We did it last week and really loved it. Or not last week, the week before last, because last week was the wedding and all of that. But we're going to kind of try and make homemade pizza every single Friday. That was something my parents did for me and my siblings, and it was just such a core part that you don't really, as a kid, I don't think really fully appreciate like what goes into having or being able to have those family traditions like that. So I just remember, you know, every Friday night my parents would make homemade pizzas and we'd watch a movie. Like, we would go to either Family Video or the library to pick out a movie and watch that as a family. So me and my partner are going to try and integrate that into our own lives. So we're gonna be having pizza and a movie tonight. The movie is Aliens Resurrection. I think it's Resurrection, I'm not too sure. We have been rewatching/watching the Alien franchise. I say rewatching because I've seen Alien multiple times, my partner actually had not, and I've never seen. I actually saw, with, you know, kind of full circle here, one of my family's movie nights, we ended up randomly watching Prometheus, and I don't think any of us knew that it was a part of the Alien franchise, but I've seen Alien and I've seen Prometheus, and my partner hadn't seen any of them. So as of right now, we've watched Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and we're moving on to the fourth one tonight, so that's what we'll be watching. I love Alien. I think it's such a good horror classic. Aliens was okay. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. Not as great as Alien, but still a really fun movie. Alien 3 was a hot mess, and I really didn't like it. So here's hoping that Alien Resurrection, I think Alien 4 is going to be a little bit better. We're excited to watch that tonight. So we'll be making some pizza, watching some Aliens, and yeah, I'm gonna go get back to work so I can enjoy my Friday evening with my partner when he comes home from work. But I will talk to y'all later with another reading update. Hey friends, happy Monday. If you were expecting this vlog to be any sort of consecutive narrative, it's just apparently not the vlog for that. Friday, me and my partner did have our new Friday night pizza tradition, and we watched The Last Broadcast, which is a found footage horror movie that was filmed in 1998. So it's not the first, it's one of the first found footage movies that was filmed with purely technology, purely like cameras and things that that like the everyday man had access to. I've also heard this was, however you slice it, I've heard this was like an inspiration for the Blair Witch Project. Some people say that the Blair Witch Project ripped it off. I don't think the Blair Witch Project ripped it off, just because I just think the Blair Witch Project did the found footage thing a little bit better, and it was just a better movie. I was intrigued about this one. This is about a group of people who go and do this broadcast and are filming trying to find the Jersey Devil, and by the end of the expedition, 2 of the 4 men are found dead, 1 is missing, and the 4th one is on trial for their murders. And this is kind of filmed in a little bit of an interesting format that I didn't realize. I thought we'd just be following those men a la Blair Witch Project, but this is actually set up kind of like a true crime documentary where we have our main character who's trying to piece together what happened and getting experts to weigh in and just different types of media. So it is found footage, it's all put together, and we have our main character trying to figure out, did these people actually meet the Jersey Devil, or, you know, was it the man accused that just snapped and killed them all, or was it something or someone else in the woods? So it was very intriguing, definitely felt like a very old-timey true crime documentary almost, and it was fun. It was fun. I really love found footage horror. I love it so much. I do think a large part of it has to be because just the reliance that usually you have to do, especially in older found footage movies with, you know, they're usually low budget, they're usually passion projects, and because they do not have big budgets, they do have to rely very heavily on practical effects, all things that I like in horror. So a lot of them do tend to be supernatural as well, which I also love. So I thought it was interesting to see this piece of found footage history. It's definitely like slower paced. The ending's very wild. I enjoyed seeing this one. I love a found footage cryptid movie. I wouldn't necessarily say that if you're in the mood for a cryptid movie to pick this one up, because again, just based on the true crime, trying to figure out what happened, and the, you know, kind of lower budget for found footage, you're not gonna see like a movie, like an hour-and-a-half long movie of just the Jersey Devil. And I don't know how much of spoilers to say is you don't know whether it's paranormal or not for a large part of the movie, but Frogman is coming out. I think it's called Frogman, but it's about the Loveland Frogman, which is an Ohio cryptid, and I'm from Ohio. I want to see that this year. It had a limited release in theaters, and I think they also released it, which was really cool, in VHS before you could like purchase it or rent it digitally. So that one is one that's very high on my list. That's a found footage about Frogman, and I'm so excited to check out that found footage movie. And then also for found footage, Late Night with the Devil comes out later this month. So I'm getting fed. I'm getting fed. Late Night with the Devil looks so cool. It looks like it's filmed in like a very vintage sort of way. I feel like that one has the potential to become a modern classic, and I've heard really good things about Frogman as well. I want to say it's called Frogman. I'm going to feel foolish if it's not. I'm pretty sure it's just called Frogman, but I think 2023 was an okay year for horror. I thought 2022 was amazing in terms of horror movies. 2023 was okay. I felt like they relied a lot on franchises and just projects in existing IPs, and like the originals that we had were not necessarily my favorites, but I think 2024 is just gonna be an outstanding year for horror. So definitely looking forward to watching both of those found footage sometime this month, but that's my review on the last broadcast. In case you're wondering, I know I mentioned that we were going to watch an Alien movie. However, with the really annoying news that Hulu and Disney are going to start cracking down on password sharing, which, you know, that whole thing just really frustrates me, because I'm still my parents' child. My partner is still his parents' child. So I feel like if if we're paying for a family plan, then we should be allowed to use that. But all that to say, me and my partner are kind of trying to figure out if Disney and Hulu get rid of their family sharing, allowing multiple households to watch on the same account. We're trying to figure out what we want to keep and what, you know, exactly like what kinds of streaming apps that we want to keep. So we were trying out Tubi, which is totally free and you don't even have to have like an account. If you have an account, you can like save your spot and come back to your movies later. But we're trying out all of those like free apps that I feel like I hear a lot about, but I've never really tried until this year. So we've tried Freevee, we've tried Tubi, and I think, you know, I don't want to get rid of all of my streaming apps because we don't pay for like a big cable package or anything, but I just, the price is too much. And when Netflix did their absurd little thing, we canceled Netflix. Well, we did not cancel Netflix. That was, you know, not the right phrasing there. But when they cracked down on the family sharing plan, which was ridiculous because, you know, my parents have been paying for a while to have the plan where you can family share because we're a big family. I'm one of 5. But when Netflix cracked down on that because of corporate greed and they started putting out all of these stupid little price bundles, we decided we were not going to be with Netflix anymore, and that has been very nice. We realized that we really did not need Netflix in our lives. So take that, CEOs. We get everything else. The only thing that I'm missing is Mike Flanagan's work. That's the only good thing about Netflix. And Netflix canceled The Midnight Club after the first season, so gross. I have a lot of resentment towards Netflix, if you can't tell, just based on the way that they treat, you know, directors that they have these deals with, and then also the comedians that they choose to platform, and just their corporate greed when it comes to just making the streaming experience worse for everyone. So yeah, the only thing I want to buy physical copies of Mike Flanagan's collections. That's the only thing that we're missing on Netflix. So, you know, if Hulu and Disney Plus do the same thing, we might try and just not have them. And I think honestly, probably for us being like big franchise people, like I have the Star Wars movies, I think mostly on VHS, which is fun, but also DVD. So I think we're going to try and move to more of like a physical collection of our favorites, of our things that we want to rewatch, and maybe not try and rely on streaming services so much, because it's just the price is getting out of control. The greed and the things that they want you to keep paying higher and higher prices for is not worth it. So streaming rant done, but we're trying out things like Tubi. I think I like Tubi more than Freevee so far. But also I fully acknowledge that I don't know if the movie selection would be wonderful for everyone, because the things that I've seen are like very much like B-list horror and like older horror titles. So I don't know how the selection is for things other than that. I saw on Tubi they had some very interesting things like Last Shift and like Mungo. They had like a lot of titles that I've been wanting to watch for a while. So I think it could work for our household. So hopefully Hulu and Disney doesn't do that, because I think that's so stupid. Like, as if Disney, the corporation, is hurting for money. But that was Friday. Saturday, really, my partner watched, it was ALGS, I think. I want to say that's what it was, for Apex. It was a streaming tournament, so he watched that, and I read, and I finished Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. I enjoyed this one. I think this one is going to be not the book for a lot of people. Number one, not only does this have to deal with, you know, the disappearance of our main character's sister when they were children, and then also it also kicks off, it's the 10-year anniversary of her sister's disappearance, and her father dies by suicide. So that kicks off our main character Teddy's investigation of maybe if they're connected or not. So that's very dark. So know that going in. Also, there's like a lot of not necessarily violence towards animals, but just it has to deal with Teddy's dog Wolf is very old. He's a very old dog, so it has to deal a lot with end-of-life care for that animal, and so just keep that in mind. If that is too much, don't pick this up. Don't pick this up. It goes in a very understandable for this character, but just a strange route of dealing with an older animal and dealing with perhaps deciding when it's time to kind of give your pet a compassionate death rather than trying to keep them living when they're suffering with all of these medical ailments that make their life a struggle. So know that going in. Also, I would say this very much to me feels like a Gillian Flynn novel, especially Sharp Objects. Especially Sharp Objects. The main character is very self-sabotaging. You totally get why she's that way. She makes some very questionable choices, and she's not like a fun character to be in her mind, so I can see a lot of people really not liking this one. You're going to really have to enjoy reading from unlikable characters, unlikable main characters, characters that you don't maybe identify with them or support what they're doing, or just it's hard to be in Teddy's mind at times. So that could be a struggle. Also, this is more of like a mystery literary thriller as opposed to like a fast action-paced thriller. This is definitely internal. I also think this is one where you're going to have to be okay not getting everything at the end wrapped up in a neat bow. So I know like that all sounded like a lot of negative things, because I do think that this book is going to like need to find its own particular readers. I don't think this is a book for everyone. I wouldn't put this on a list of like top 5 beginner mystery, top 5 beginner thrillers. I would say if you can deal with Gillian Flynn books, especially like Dark Places, I think that one's a good like comparison as well. Like the tone of Dark Places with the character of Sharp Objects, if you like those kinds of books, I think you'll enjoy what this has to offer. And not enjoy, this is like a deeply uncomfortable ride, but very fascinating. Kind of watching our main character and her investigation devolve as she's experiencing maybe past trauma that she never had a chance to experience in her childhood, and now that she's an adult, she's experiencing it all at once. So this is a wild ride. I definitely read more by the author. The characters felt very real. The Reddit posts, like the Reddit commentary, felt like Reddit posts. The dialogue felt very much like real dialogue, whether it was the teen characters, because our main character is a teacher, or just like the adult characters as well. This was very raw and just a very dark reading experience, but I did enjoy it overall. Just to know, I think this just has to be like a very specific audience. This definitely I wouldn't recommend for just everyone, especially if things like the treatment of animals and older pets, if that is a trigger for you, stay clear. It also does get very like sexually explicit in weird ways at times, so that's why I guess I feel like yeah, if you like Gillian Flynn, if you like her main characters, I think you would like this. I think that's a pretty apt comparison. And then in terms of what I plan to read next, I have one ebook and one audiobook queued up. The first one is a NetGalley e-arc that I just didn't get to in time for it to release. It just released this past week, but that is What Grows in the Dark by Jack Evans. And this one is about a phony spiritualist who returns to her hometown to assist in an investigation that eerily mirrors her sister's death and forces her to confront the secrets that she's been running from this whole time. So I love that kind of premise. I love the phony medium, phony spiritualist, that they get this one big case and then they discover, you know, that ghosts are real or that they can actually talk to spirits maybe. I think maybe it has to do with something like that. This also, I've read the first chapter and it looks like our main character runs like a YouTube ghost hunting show, which is so fun. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It's contemporary horror, so I'll be reading that on my phone just to get that review done for NetGalley. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get to that before the release date, but the week after I think is also okay. And then for my audiobook, I'm going to be reading The Absinthe Underground by Jamie Pacton. This has such a gorgeous cover, but this is a romantasy. I don't know, I think it's tagged as romance and fantasy. I don't really know the rules about romantasy or not yet. It could also be just fantasy with heavy romance elements, but this is Moulin Rouge meets Holly Black in a thrilling sapphic friends to lovers romantasy. It also says it will leave fans of Divine Rivals and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies utterly enchanted. I don't have any interest in reading Divine Rivals, but I did really enjoy Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, so we are following our main characters, Sybil and Esme, and they are friends, they're roommates, and they live a very, very paycheck to paycheck life in this fantasy city of Severon. Again, this is not in our world, it's a fantasy, but they both live in the city of Severon, and they get by primarily by Sybil stealing these posters that these artists have made, like these ad campaign posters, and she steals them, sells them for money. That's how they make their living. She steals this poster and they get caught by the subject of the poster, Maeve. And Maeve is the owner of the Absinthe Underground, which is an incredibly exclusive club that Sybil has been dying to get into. She invites them there with a job heist for them that is too good to pass up. So not only do they have this job heist, but they realize that Maeve is actually a fairy who's trying to get back to the fairy world, and Sybil and Esme have to figure out how to get Maeve back to the fae world, in large part because of this heist. So that's the audiobook that I will be reading. So that's the two books I'm going to go back and forth with today. I'm also working on another vlog kind of concurrently with this one, so I definitely think that's kind of why my reading updates have been a little bit sporadic, but they've been very long. So this vlog, we'll see what happens with this vlog. But those are my reading plans. We've got a sapphic romantasy dealing with fae and a very fun Moulin Rouge-esque type of world, and then we also have a contemporary horror that's dealing with mediums and spirituality and ghosts. So I'm definitely excited for my reading plans for this week, but that is going to be it for this very, very lengthy update. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I promise I will talk to y'all tomorrow, because I kind of have to, because I want this vlog to go up on Wednesday. But I'll talk to y'all with a reading update either later on tonight or tomorrow. Hey friends, happy Tuesday. It is time to close out this vlog because this needs to go up tomorrow and I need time to edit. So just a very quick little reading update because I have not finished any more books. I'm sure you could have guessed that because, you know, I was very ambitious and I started 2 different books yesterday, but I am enjoying them so far. I do not have a significant update on What Grows in the Dark, but I am 40% of the way through the Absinthe Underground, and this is really fun. This is, I think it's short enough where I'm having a really good time reading it. I don't think it's going to leave like a huge lasting emotional impact for me. I have noticed that things that tend to be marketed as like cozy normally don't hit like the 5-star mark for me. Not that I don't enjoy them, but just I know there are people who are going to be obsessed with this book, and I definitely think that you should check it out. I think the Holly Black was a good comparison. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, definitely a good comparison here, just with like the fae lore and everything. I also want to say, I want to say like the Wayward Children series, if you like that, you'd like this, because I tried the first book of that series forever ago. On paper, it seems like it would be a 5 stars and I enjoyed it, but just I did not fall in love with it. Like I know so many people just absolutely are head over heels for that series. So I think if you like that series, then you want to check this out. Also, there's another, like The House in the Cerulean Sea. Also, if again, just, you know, cozy fantasy, and just I've also noticed like romantasy that don't have like huge big stakes tend to be middle of the road reads for me. Again, not that I'm not enjoying my time. This is short, it's fun, it's fluffy, it is very cute having our 2 main characters, Sybil and Esme. They're friends, they're doing a little heist together, they're falling in love. It's a very fun little read. I just don't think it's going to be like an absolute favorite, But this one, as opposed to, as I was talking about Rabbit Hole earlier on in this vlog, where I think that's going to be a very niche audience for people to appreciate this, I just know that there are some people that are just going to become obsessed with this book. This book, I could see it becoming like, you know, a Roman Empire of a lot of people. So I definitely want this getting in the hands of a lot of people who like cozy fantasy especially, cozy fantasy and romance, and even if you like Regency romance a little bit, because it does kind of give those vibes with the fantasy world that we're in just a little bit. It's not the same time era, it's more of like a gaslight time era rather than Regency, but I think if you read this, you'll understand what I mean by those kind of romance vibes. And if you like sapphic friends to lovers romance, I think you're gonna love this one. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. Definitely will be finishing it up in next week's vlog, potentially. I actually think I might take a break from weekly vlogging for the rest of this week, so I'm not sure if I will actually conclude my review on camera of this book, but that's why, you know, I want to kind of hype it up here that I think this is going to be like the cute, cozy little Roman Empire fantasy book for a lot of people if they decide to pick it up. So if that sounds like your vibe, definitely check it out. I feel like this could be a glowing 5-star for you. And again, not that I'm not enjoying it, it's a cute little read. I definitely think it's on the shorter end, and if it were longer for me, I don't think I would enjoy it as much, but it's a fun, fluffy read that I'm really enjoying. But that is going to be it for this week's vlog. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for all of the bookish and cozy gaming content. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!